Hi guys, it's Mad About Animals Mags, your favorite animal welfare scientist slash red-nosed reindeer. It's Christmas time when it is the holiday season. I love to cozy up, think about all the things that bring me joy and the horrors of animal cruelty. Just kidding, don't turn the video off. We're gonna talk about cruelty-free makeup, but I'm not actually going to explain why animal testing or animal cruelty is bad, because this video is way too cozy and Christmassy for the gory details. So I'm just going to trust that if you clicked on this video, then you, the viewer, agree with me, the reindeer, that it's better to buy cosmetic products that didn't cause harm to animals. And if I have to explain to you why that's better, I'm gonna need to make a separate video about that.
5-second anti-animal testing pitch.
Don't hurt the baby. We don't need to hurt the baby to have nice makeup. Don't hurt the baby. I wanted to give you a quick and easy guide to buying cruelty-free and vegan makeup.
But I can't do that because companies use a lot of deceptive language to hide whether they test on animals, and also cruelty-free and vegan mean two different things in cosmetics.
By quick and easy, I mean...
By the end of this video, I want you to be able to look at any makeup product and know how to find out what animal use went into its creation, regardless of what's on the packaging. One of the reasons it's complicated is the claims cruelty-free and vegan are unregulated in the United States. These are actual certified cruelty-free official logos and examples of what made-up logos look like. This guide adds official vegan logos. A made-up logo doesn't guarantee that a brand isn't cruelty-free, it just doesn't guarantee that it is, so you'll need to do further research.
But I am going to link lists in this video description if for some reason you don't want to sit through all my hilarity and just get straight to like brass tacks, like let's go, just give me the brand list. The brand list will be there for you. Don't even worry about it. You don't need to look at my stupid reindeer face any longer than this. You are free to go. I release you. But for everyone awesome,
we're going to sort some popular makeup brands into naughty and nice. Let's kick it off with my sampling methodology, because nothing says the holidays like applying rigorous academic standards to a YouTube skit.
There are hundreds and hundreds of makeup companies out there. I decided to search for most popular makeup brands 2023. A lot of different websites came up, but one of them was Cosmopolitan. And Cosmopolitan is a leading voice on what's fashionable, what's cool, or at least when I was a teenager, Cosmopolitan was very influential in how we perceived beauty. Like I would say Cosmopolitan influenced us. It was like an influencer. Like when I was growing up, influencers were delivered to your house, or maybe you had them in a waiting room and then you read them. I took the list of the 2023 Cosmopolitan Reader's Choice Beauty Awards. I took 20 makeup brands, mostly from the makeup section, and then one from a bonus section to investigate who is naughty and who is nice. My first step for all of these was going to cruelty-free kitty and ethical elephant. You can tell at a glance if a product is cruelty-free and or vegan. And so that's something I'll do wherever I'm shopping for makeup. Now, here's the thing. Santa has two lists, naughty and nice. But that's because Santa doesn't have a Master of Science degree in international animal welfare, ethics, and law that taught him to look at the nuance in ethical situations involving animals. Unless he does, in which case I would like to sincerely apologize to Santa Claus for doubting his credentials, and I'd love to collaborate sometime. I think there's probably a lot of work we can do for the welfare of reindeer, and I'd be very curious to see how they're treated the other 364 days of the year, whether you're providing foraging enrichment, what social structure. So I have used my mastery of animal welfare science, and this is gonna blow your minds, to create not 2 lists, but 3. I will hold for applause. Let me start out by explaining these 3 categories. This is the cruelty-free naughty or nice list. So the companies on the naughty list are still employing animal testing. They may act like they don't, but they do. Here we get into the mind-blowing nuance of the nearly nice category. These companies do not test on animals. Most are either PETA or Leaping Bunny certified as cruelty-free. These companies are on the nearly nice list because either they are owned by a parent company that does test on animals, or because not all of their products are vegan. This is something that I only learned in the last few years. I automatically assumed that if a product was cruelty-free, that meant that there were no dead animals in it. Actually, vegan and cruelty-free are two different classifications within the cosmetics world. I think most vegans would consider makeup that has no animal products in it but was tested on animals to not be vegan. And I think a lot of people would consider makeup that was not tested on animals but has dead animals in it to not actually be cruelty-free. And finally, the notably nice list. These are the companies that are cruelty-free in that they don't engage in animal testing, vegan in that they're not using animal products, and have a parent company that also follows those ethics.
Of the 20 brands I pulled from the 2023 Cosmo Reader's Choice Beauty Awards, 7 found themselves on the naughty list, 10 of them were nearly nice, and only 3 distinguished themselves as notably nice. This means that 65% of the companies on the list don't use animal testing, which is actually better than I expected and shows a promising trend, but only 15% of the companies were completely free from animal testing and animal ingredients.
You may be thinking, then maybe that means that cruelty-free vegan makeup brands just aren't as good. And I guess that would make sense if you look at the numbers, but oh wait, knock knock, who's there? Correlation not equaling causation, that's who. Which means that sure, it could be that those brands are worse, or it could be that there are just simply less brands out there who have gone entirely cruelty-free, and the brands that aren't cruelty-free are bigger, are making more money by selling in China where animal testing has been historically required, therefore have more money for advertising. They've been around longer, they are able to reach consumers more effectively, and therefore it's not that other products or options are worse, it's just that people don't know about them.
Also, instead of reshoots to avoid a Christmas in July release date for this, I've added any additional context over video footage of my rats playing in their holiday village. I'm sorry, and you're welcome.
Without further ado, I made a list, I checked it twice, it's time to find out who's naughty or nice. That's not actually true, I checked it like 7 times.
The naughty list.
First off, we have the naughty list. As I said, these are corporations that engage in animal testing. Now, they may try to hide that with clever language, and often those will say things like, I don't know, just for example, Laura Mercier does not test on animals, nor do we ask others to on our behalf. Except we're required by law. What? That doesn't count as not testing on animals. And this isn't something where it's like, oh, we decided to sell in this country and oops, they went ahead and tested our product on animals. Darn. No, you as the company have to approve the tests on animals and pay for them. The biggest factor in all of this is China. It's estimated that China has the second largest cosmetics market in the world. Now, China has thankfully started relaxing their standards of what animal testing is required, but that's only been in the last few years, and there have been brands selling in China and testing on animals in China and using deceptive language to pretend that that's not what they're doing for decades. And there have also been brands that for years have not been selling in China because they mean it when they say that they don't fucking believe in animal testing. I'm so excited that China is advancing their policy, and I'm so appreciative of all the Chinese activists and international organizations and Chinese organizations who've been fighting to make China a kinder place for animals. However,
it's no guarantee that a company is cruelty-free now just because China has relaxed its animal testing policy. There's a fair amount companies need to do in order to sell cosmetics in China without testing on animals, and certain types of cosmetics aren't even eligible.
This chart on ethical elephant explains the current situation with China's cosmetics policy. First of all, any special cosmetic products such as sunscreen, hair dye, deodorant do still require animal testing. So do any products marketed for children or infants. So do any products which advertise a new cosmetic ingredient. It requires a GMP certification issued by the local government. And at the bottom of the chart, a picture of a little ratty getting hurt. Don't hurt the baby, you guys. Don't hurt the baby.
I misspoke a little bit here. It's actually not just advertising new ingredients, it turns out. In editing, I found a great article from Vegan Avenue, which goes into a little more detail. There were also certain distinctions I missed. The Vegan Avenue chart may lay things out a little more clearly at a glance. Exemption from animal testing cannot include advertising new efficacy and or simply containing a new cosmetic ingredient. And according to Vegan Avenue, the Chinese database of approved ingredients numbers 10,000, while the US has 30,000, limiting what formulae companies won't have to test on animals, even if they do check all the other boxes. I was reticent to use a source with the name Vegan Avenue, if only for optics, but it was actually the best researched and most well-cited journalism I could find, including linking to the aforementioned ingredients list and conducting an interview directly with Knudsen and CRC, a regulatory compliance firm out of Shanghai.
However,
in my quest to fact-check Vegan Avenue, I did come across a lot of misinformation that was really frustrating and a good lesson in why it's necessary to verify your facts from multiple sources, but this is long enough already, so it's not worth getting into. Yet! And I've now added a final section onto this video that will get into that debacle.
Some companies are taking these steps to become cruelty-free, even if they're still selling in mainland China. And that's fantastic. However,
the fastest, easiest way for companies to sell the widest range of products in mainland China is still animal testing. So if they don't make the choice to go the more complicated bureaucratic route, they just can and do continue to
pull that except where required by law addendum depths that some companies will go to hide their animal testing, I think is really disingenuous, bordering on disgusting. So I just want to walk you through some of my adventures in what companies have to say themselves. So let's start with Benefit. Oh my gosh, Benefit, you don't test on animals? That's amazing. Great. So thrilled to wait a minute. What's that? If you don't test on animals, why ever would you need to immediately have a question below that about what countries require animal testing? OPI lets us know that their products are vegan and they do not test on animals and don't sell in countries where testing on animals is required. Phenomenal. Amazing. Done. Whoa, until you realize that OP is talking specifically about their Nature Strong line. Now here's the thing. It doesn't say that any of the other OP products do test on animals. It's just that this is the only one that says it doesn't. In fact, the does OP test on animals is right under is this vegan section of Nature Strong. And oh my gosh, there's actually another fact question about is it vegan earlier in a different section, and this time the is it vegan isn't followed by is it tested on animals. I wonder why that could possibly be. Those two companies are at the top of my naughty list in terms of being deceptive. There's a third company at the top of my naughty list. And this one, they say that they test on animals, but it's the way they say it. Cruelty-free Kitty have NARS anti-cruelty policy. We have decided to make NARS available in China because we feel it is important to bring our vision of beauty and artistry to fans in the region. It's so beautiful. I was really skeptical about NARS testing on animals, but I can't argue with that. That sounds completely worth it. And there would just be no other way for them to bring their products to Chinese fans. Oh my gosh, breaking news. Even though historically you couldn't sell makeup not tested on animals in stores in mainland China, you can actually ship cosmetics to mainland China, even if they're not tested on animals. I cannot wait to tell NARS. They're going to be so excited. They can bring their vision of beauty and artistry to their fans in mainland China without testing on animals. Oh wait. Oh my goodness. That article appears to be from 4 years ago? So, are you telling me that all this time, NARS could have brought their vision of beauty and artistry to their Chinese fans without testing on animals? Did someone forget to tell them? Or could it possibly be that they're not actually that concerned about their vision of beauty and artistry, and they don't actually care about not harming animals that much, and they're much more interested in making sure their products are sold in mainland China in stores to maximize their profits in the second largest cosmetics market in the world? No, that couldn't be. But China has now changed its policies, so these makeup brands may be changing their policies. So I thought, let me go directly to the NARS website. First of all, it was almost impossible to find the NARS animal testing policy.
I went to the About page where I would expect to find basic facts about the company's history, their ingredients, their animal testing policy, but instead I was treated to a montage of high fashion photos and quotes about and from apparent iconoclast Francois NARS. When I got to the bottom of the page, I saw that the link must have been the Francois NARS link, so I clicked that to see. Nope, that took me to a biography of him, and the photo montage really was somehow supposed to be the about the company, so I gave up and searched animal testing in the sidebar.
Now, NARS has changed their official animal cruelty policy. NARS does not test on animals, nor do we ask others to on our behalf, except where required by law. But at least they went to the boilerplate industry standard rather than trying to mask their corporate greed in some kind of like artistic mission statement. Oh no, wait, they still did that just later in the paragraph. We remain committed to bringing our vision of beauty and artistry to our fans around the globe as part of our long-held commitment to empower women everywhere. You guys, they're just still testing on animals, still because of the beauty and artistry vision thing, but now it's also because they want to empower women. There's no way to empower women without animal testing.
Not only is that irrelevant, it's also one of the most hilariously egregious misappropriations of faux feminism I've ever seen.
Chestnuts on an open fire, we're roasting NARS this year.
To quickly look at some of the other naughty list messaging, Maybelline says they don't test on animals with the caveat an exception could only be made if regulatory authorities demanded it, which we all know is just sparkling except where required by law. Dior says simply Dior does not test any product on animals, which to silly billies might sound like Dior doesn't test products on animals, but you'll notice it's the absolute bare minimum information so that if someone points out that they pay for animal testing in China, they can say yes, but that's not Dior, that's China. This one sentence is also very tucked away on the website, while our nice list honorees often advertise their cruelty-free status loud and proud, as we'll see here on our nice list.
The next companies on our list are the nearly nice companies.
You can see which company they're certified cruelty-free by, if any, and whether or not they're owned by a parent company which tests on animals. The only two brands here not owned by such companies are ColourPop and Say, while only KVD Beauty has a 100% vegan ingredient line. Fenty Beauty is not 100% vegan, but Fenty Skin is. Also, both Say and Ilia are vegetarian, with both companies stating that the only animal-derived ingredient in any of their makeup is beeswax, which is clearly labeled. Now, when it comes to veganism and bee products, not in this video.
The basic idea of still buying from these companies is that when you put all your money into the cruelty-free brands of a parent company, then you're showing them, look, your cruelty-free brands are popular, they're doing well. This is what young consumers want. And similarly, one level down, if you buy the vegan product within a cruelty-free brand and all of the brands on the Nearly Nice list have vegan options, you are showing this cruelty-free brand consumers want products that are not only not tested on animals, but also don't contain animals. I'm not an economist. I wish I were, not because I would necessarily rather be an economist than an animal welfare scientist / musical theater writer / video game developer / rat mom. I'm not actually a professional rat mom. Actually, it costs me a lot of money. I cannot say for sure how effective these strategies are, but the basic logic sounds sound. I wouldn't necessarily advise avoiding these brands. I think it's super awesome to support the brands on our Notably Nice list and making sure we're keeping them afloat, but the Nearly Nice brands aren't necessarily something that you should boycott.
Ethical Elephant says that there's no right or wrong answer to buying brands from parent companies that aren't cruelty-free, while Cruelty-Free Kitty actually endorses this practice, saying, "We believe that supporting all cruelty-free brands is the only path forward towards a cruelty-free and more ethical beauty industry." And when you look at the sheer number of brands owned by parent companies, none of whom are cruelty-free, it's easy to see why. This 2017 Business Insider chart shows that 182 beauty brands were owned by just 7 companies. CB Insights in 2018 has an expanded list with 8 companies. However, this doesn't mean these conglomerates will never go cruelty-free, especially with China's laws changing and developing. CoverGirl is an enormous company and recently got their Leaping Bunny certification, something they display front and center on their website with a header and an entire video about it with a pretty dang cute Rube Goldberg machine, actually. This is what I mean about cruelty-free policies being difficult to find, being a red flag for a company that is still testing on animals.
When a brand becomes cruelty-free, that's something that they want people to know, because opens up your market to a whole new group of consumers. And it doesn't shrink your base at all, because even if people aren't actively seeking out cruelty-free products, people also aren't actively seeking out cruelty products. I don't think anyone is like, this holiday season, I really want to buy makeup that harms animals. And if you are searching for that, let me just say, yikes.
Ilia's homepage has the Leaping Bunny logo prominently displayed. Urban Decay has multiple portions such as kindness over cruelty, reminding you that they have always been 100% cruelty-free and that they can guarantee that no furry friends were harmed in the making of your Urban Decay faves. And since I'm pretty sure that literally everyone's Urban Decay fave is the Urban Decay primer potion, that is true. You find similar messaging on ColourPop's website. We pride ourselves on being bunny approved, test our products in the nicest way possible, leaving fur babies to be fur babies. Between Urban Decay's furry friends and ColourPop's fur babies, how do you think I, a very serious animal welfare scientist, feel about seeing the suffering of animals reduced to such tweet, cutesy phrases? I feel great about it. I know they're pandering. I know they're using manipulative language to associate cruelty-free makeup as being kind to animals, conjuring up pictures of animals we care about to draw the association between our love for them and buying this company's product. Meanwhile, it's drawing the association that if you love animals and care about your fur babies, you shouldn't be buying the makeup of those other brands, the ones that don't care about your fur babies, which, yeah, I agree with. I'm fine with that. I think cruelty-free brands have absolutely earned the rights to appeal to our emotions, although I wish that they would all keep animals out of their ingredient list as well as out of their testing process.
And you might say, but wait, even though the brands on this list are cruelty-free, the majority still aren't vegan, so maybe animal ingredients sadly are necessary to make the best makeup. To which I say, knock knock, who's there? Correlation still not equaling causation, and not only that, but even though these brands don't have entirely vegan lines, these items that were voted the best by readers, a lot of them are vegan.
Did somebody say they wanted a series of needlessly and and increasingly minutia-focused graphs breaking down the ratio of vegan to non-vegan makeup on Cosmo's Beauty Award list? No? Merry Christmas, you're getting it anyway. So I took the first table I made breaking down what distinguishes the brands as nearly nice and added a new column as to whether or not their Cosmo Best List product was vegan. 5 of them were entirely vegan, giving the nearly nice a 50% vegan ratio.
But since I realized that the majority of the ColourPop shades were vegan, I should count each of those individually and add 11 to the vegan column and 6 to the non-vegan column, which now made the pie chart look like this. But then I realized it skewed the data to only break down the non-vegan products by shade, and therefore all products should be broken down by shade, leading to this Excel document and the pie chart now evolving into this. But then I realized if we're talking about just the ratio of cruelty-free products using animal ingredients or not, it makes no sense to exclude the brands that are entirely vegan, so I added the notably nice list into the Excel doc, yielding our final pie chart showing that
of the cruelty-free products, 78% were made with no animal-derived ingredients,
which gives me great hope people are learning you can make excellent makeup products without using animals.
That being said,
Welcome to our top 3
my beautiful, beautiful heroes, the notably nice list.
Milk Makeup is Leaping Bunny certified, Rare Beauty is PETA certified, and Revitalash is not actually certified cruelty-free, but has undergone the interview process with Cruelty-Free Kitty, who has vouched for them. And I trust that website, but do your own research. You may be wondering, well, okay, this is kind of a bummer then that there are only 3 brands that don't test on animals, don't use animal products, and don't have parent companies. But guys, there's so many. There's so many that I went to list some of them, and then I was like, wait, there are too many. I am overwhelmed, which is wonderful. I love to be overwhelmed by the sheer number of vegan and cruelty-free options. On Ethical Elephant, you can go to their cruelty-free list and then plug in vegan and only see brands that are 100% vegan. And there's a little asterisk next to the brands that are owned by a parent company that isn't. So if you just disregard the brands with asterisks next to them, you have a gorgeous list of cruelty-free and vegan brands that don't have parent companies. You can also filter by product types. So for this video, I filtered to makeup. It's just wonderful to help keep these companies afloat and show that there's consumer demand for products that do not harm animals.
So happy shopping for brands that fit your values. And before we go, let's take a look at which brands I chose for this incredibly subtle and wearable reindeer look. I started my reindeer transformation with a full face of makeup because I had been doing a very normal photo shoot earlier, like a very normal person. So to recap, I was wearing a vegan foundation from Urban Decay on our Cosmo Nearly Nice list, paired with a setting spray from Smashbox, a brand which didn't appear in Cosmo but would also class as Nearly Nice. My blush, which I'm obsessed with, is from the notably nice brand Milk, while my mascara is a vegan product from Nearly Nice Tarte. I painted my nose with the same eyeshadow I was already wearing like a normal person, a palette called Animal Magic from the notably nice, cruelty-free, and vegan brand Pacifica, which has the most gorgeous packaging in the world. I'm turning into a reindeer using the shade Buffalo, which is a hilarious undulate joke for all you taxonomy nerds. The brush I'm using is vegan from Lush, which I'm going to qualify as a nearly notably nice brand for being cruelty-free since its inception and 100% vegetarian, with a huge collection of vegan products and a focus on sustainable packaging with a great recycling program. My eyeliner is from LA Girls, which is nearly notably nice for being cruelty-free and not owned by a parent company, but not all of their products are vegan, and I wear makeup infrequently enough, and you can tell that by the fact that I had to go sharpen this, that this is a purchase from literal years ago before I knew cruelty-free could still include animal products. And this particular pencil, I realized, isn't actually vegan. Just felt it was important to disclose that because no one is 100% perfect 100% of the time, and we're all learning and growing. And speaking of imperfect, I have really shaky hands, so my makeup is also a little sloppy sometimes, and that's okay too. I'm having fun. All nail polish brands I used were notably nice, cruelty-free, no animal testing parent company, and 100% vegan. And if I'm talking about nail polish, you know we're about to kick off the sloppy manicure, sloppy journalism portion of our misadventure like I promised, so let's rock. I'll start with an error that's minor that illustrates the importance of fact-checking, then cover what I feel is a very upsetting mistake. Within that section, I'm going to reference animal cruelty in a high-concept way without details, but it's still a bummer. So when I get there, I'll put a time code up. You can skip over that if you would prefer. Thing 1, I ended up on some article that listed Tarte as a not cruelty-free brand, which I'd already sorted into nearly nice because Cruelty-Free Kitty and Ethical Elephant said it was. On Tarte's website, they claim to be PETA certified cruelty-free, and on PETA's website, they claim to have certified Tarte. So a small but clear example of how a website can randomly say something even if every other website says the opposite. Remember at the beginning when I said I'm making a list and checking it twice? Just kidding, I checked it like 7 times. This is why. Thing number 2. If you recall, I wanted to find another source for navigating the new China policies since a website called Veganuary is clearly going to have an agenda. As I mentioned earlier, there was a lot of primary source work put in by Veganuary, so I feel reasonably confident that their information is good. When I searched for China Animal Testing Policy 2023 to find a more neutral source, the vast majority of websites coming up were specifically anti-animal testing or pro-animal welfare websites, presumably because these organizations are the ones who care the most about these developments and are staying on top of them. When I went to the news tab, I was finally able to find a New York Times article which contained enough information that it seemed to support Veganuary's conclusions. So where's the bad part? This is the bad part. The information that Google pulled, that Google put in a box with bold text to give the person searching their answer at a glance so they don't have to read more than that one sentence, is the wrong answer. I checked so many different places to make sure I hadn't missed anything. After all, a lot of the anti-animal testing websites were announcing this news in 2021. Maybe somehow, miraculously, within the last 2 years, China had gone from legally requiring live animal testing for all cosmetic sales to suddenly banning all animal testing, even though countries fighting against not even government-mandated animal testing policies for years have not managed to achieve this yet. The United States now has 11 states which have banned animal testing for cosmetic purposes. I'm pretty bad at math, but it turns out that that's 78% of my country that allows animal testing for cosmetics. I'm not saying surely China couldn't do better than the US because we're so great at protecting animals. The UK banned all animal testing for cosmetics way back in 1998. And then reversed that ban apparently this year? What? But we're expected to believe that we blinked and China went to animal testing as 100% banned. It just doesn't make sense. This isn't some nationalist thing of our country and allies are obviously superior. This is just that isn't how the creation and progression of laws works thing. My goal isn't to denigrate China. It's to call out how absurdly, ludicrously out of touch this reporting was and how absolutely bonkers it is to me that if someone were to search for information on the China animal testing policy update, it would be served up a very quick and easy, succinct summary, and they would walk away with the completely wrong information. It makes it seem like makeup being sold in China cannot legally be tested on animals there, unlike in the United States, and now I guess the UK. Thanks, I hate it. And speaking of how animal testing is legal in the US and the UK, I'm a big fan of sweeping your own side of the street. People who get up in arms over animal testing or farming, particularly of species that aren't farmed in their own country, elsewhere in the world without fighting for better policies in their own backyard are, in my opinion, popping out and let themselves off the hook because insert action here happens to insert species there, thanks to those heartless insert foreigners who you feel superior to here. I mentioned in my video about my trip to the New Life Animal Sanctuary that hundreds of thousands of animals are tested on in the United States every year, and those numbers don't even include rats and mice because they aren't even protected by the United States Animal Welfare Act. I have no interest in specifically coming for animal testing in China when I'm focused on trying to change the sometimes animal welfare laws where I live first. But at least we have sometimes animal welfare laws, plural. As much as it would be a disservice to the animal activism community to pretend that Western countries are blameless, it would be an equal disservice, in my opinion, not to acknowledge what is a problem in China and the work Chinese activists and scholars are doing to change things and bring awareness to those problems. There's only one animal welfare law in China, and it's protecting wild animals. Professor Ma of the University of Pennsylvania has written on the problem of animal welfare in China. He wrote a very compassionate and nuanced article in the Princeton Legal Journal entitled How Long Will China's Animal Cruelty Laws Have to Wait, which is wonderful, and I wholeheartedly endorse it and do not recommend the layperson read it. And this is where you may want to skip to the end by clicking the time code listed here. No details, but I'm going to talk about why I'm not even giving details in 3, 2, 1, Party time! I have become very hardened to reading about, talking about, and even sometimes seeing footage of horrific actions against animals, most often due to intensive farming, and it still turns my stomach to even think about people hurting animals for fun. And the first several sentences of Ma's excellent article describe horrific instances of animal cruelty for the purposes of pure entertainment, sometimes broadcast over the Chinese internet. Ma describes a team of legal scholars publishing a draft of an animal cruelty law in China in 2009, and that 12 years later, it still hasn't been implemented. But we're to believe that in twice as many months, China has made animal testing illegal? Anyone who cares about animals needs to be hyper aware of not taking any given article at face value, especially if it's from a non-primary source.
Honestly, I was 80% of the way through a completely different video essay, but I thought I'd pause and make a quick little thing about a few makeup brands to post by Christmas in 2 days. But the more I researched, the more I was shocked by the depth of misleading terminology and downright misinformation, and that felt important for me to center. You can always search online and find info about makeup brands. You probably won't search online and find out that what you're searching online might be completely wrong. So I hope this was genuinely useful and that you can go forth confident that you know how to make informed choices. I wanted to end with a note about my girlies. Hopefully during the course of my voiceover addendums, you've gotten to see that rats are curious, playful, and a real joy to have around, but they're also incredibly clever social creatures who are affectionate with each other and with humans. They have individual personalities and quirks. I cannot say enough about how precious these sweet animals are or how deserving they are of safety and happiness, as are all animals. And that especially shouldn't be taken away for the sake of our makeup.
Remember, when you choose not to support companies that test on animals, it's not just some abstract action you're taking to virtue signal that you're better than other people. It's a tangible step to end the suffering of kind, intelligent creatures like Angel, Maple, Olive, Rosella, and Stella, and we thank you for that. We'd appreciate if you would like and subscribe to our channel, but at the very least, we are so grateful for you watching this video and hope you have a wonderful holiday season and a very happy new year.